At the beginning of this, the left hand has the melody, so the right hand just has these chords. Make them as legato as you can with the hands, because we don't pedal this. Hold them out the full quarter note. And this is a slow piece here. Lento is slow, so you're going to hold these out for quite a while. Then when you get down to the third line there, pick up to the third measure. Now the right hand gets the melody. And this rhythm is important. I have to take the last two measures together, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and rest, and because that rest on beat 1 is it makes it. That's what it's about. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the last two measures 1 and 2 and 3 and triplet again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and. And I recommend, they're saying third finger on the first note of the triplet. I just play it with fourth again. That's what I used the first time. Because then I can scrunch up and put the fifth finger on the G just fine. Just finger it all legato. And then at the top of page 55, second measure, triplet. Their fingering is fine there. Use that second line. Page 55, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Isn't that wonderful? Third line here. What's fingering? Their fingering is fine. Fourth finger again, fourth finger again, and then the bottom, the last three measures, the A is tied to the end. You're only adding the E to it. And then that's tied for a couple measures. Boy. Left hand. Left hand actually gets the melody to start. Isn't this cool? They're saying start with the third finger. Second line, watch out, reach up with the thumb. We want this to be legato. Again, we're not pedaling this. The hands have to do it all. You can pedal that. Then you repeat that. Let's go on down. Third line here, we're finishing. Then a red. Now the left hand gets this softly. The melody's in the other hand. I do a 2-3. You can do a 2-1 on that. This is the first measure of the last line on page 54. It's an F natural, G sharp, or first line on page 55, you're up here, down, and then here. We're listening to the right hand while we're doing all this, so this is just background. We've had all this before. Now jump down to the bottom. Last line, you're here. And then their fingering is fine. And that's tied. But you can't hold it down because you got to come all the way down to that low A here to finish it off. The pedal will hold it for you, but yeah. Work it out and get the fingering worked out in the rhythm that you need to. Then try putting the hands together slowly. Well, it's slow anyway, it doesn't matter. So at the beginning, the left hand gets the melody. This right hand is just whispering. It's just really soft. It's there, you can hear it, but just. And then you come back down. Let's pretend we did that. Go down to line 3. Here, you're finishing it off. Now the right hand gets it. line, second measure on page 55. We want to hear the break in the phrase here. Down. There's a poco ritardando at the end there. The poco part is the part we're after. It just slow down a little bit. Don't get carried away with the slowing down. I mean, it's not fast to begin with, but don't go. We want it to end eventually. And then everything comes up. So get that worked out with the hands. I didn't do a lot with dynamics for the most part. This is soft. There's a medium loud over on page 54. You see it when you start this. This part is. Some people will actually speed that up a little bit. You can find a whole lot of recordings of this on YouTube. I suggest you go listen to it. It won't be this arrangement, but it'll be the waltz, and you can hear how these different melodies fit together. It's really very nice. Let's add the pedal, because the pedal is going to help smooth it out in places. Not using pedal everywhere, but in some places. Now there is no pedal at the beginning of this. The hands have to do it all. But go ahead and put your foot on the pedal at the beginning, because you are going to need it eventually. So here. Down right after you play the E, and lift it up right after you play the third beat, and then repeat. On the second line, I tend to I feel a little crescendo, just a little bit, not much in that. So second time through at the beginning is here. Go to here. Here. Not much. Second ending. Now louder. And again, I'm pushing the notes down and then the pedal. Now on the bottom line there on page 54. See, they're telling you simile on the pedal, and they're telling you to overlap it. If I overlap this pedal like they're saying to, this is what I get. Starting with on the third line where the pedal comes in, this is it. It just ruins it for me. So the third line's okay, you can pedal that. But the last two measures of that, I don't pedal the third beat, I just lift it up. Right after I play the third beat, I lift it up. And on the last measure, I only pedal the first beat. Right after I play the second beat, I lift up. I don't want to smear any of that. So the last two measures. And on the first measure of page 55, I only pedal the first two beats. And then the next measure, you pedal it, the first two beats. You change on the second beat. And after I play the notes in the third beat, I don't pedal that. So the second measure is here. Well, let's start with the first measure. I'm going kind of fast here. Right there. And then you can pedal the first two beats of the next measure. Lift up on the third beat. And on the last measure, I don't pedal it until the second beat. The first measure of the next line, I pedal only the first beat. And the next measure, I pedal the second beat. I could pedal both beats, except it's the end of a phrase and I want to hear it. So I only pedal the second beat. So it's... Then you can pedal it legato. Now on the third line, second measure, just the first two beats here. I want to clear out the sound as I'm going forward, so it's... Then it's legato pedal all this. And here it's legato pedal. Change it, and then hold it down all the way to the end. Then at the end, the hands come up, the keys come up, keep the hands on the keys, and then slowly lift the pedal and let it die away. Something like that. I went through that kind of fast. So the idea is I don't want to smear the eighth notes. If you find it's getting smeary, either change the pedal or just lift it up and don't pedal. Because if you've figured out how to finger this legato, a lot of this you don't need pedal. In the third line there where it's... The idea with the pedal is to connect this more than anything else, otherwise we wouldn't need it. So when you get to these the passages, the measures with the eighth notes, like at the bottom, the last two, once you've connected this, you don't need pedal. So that's why I can lift it up on the third beat. Right after the second one. Now here I get away with it here because there's so much going on in the right hand, nobody knows this. Nobody noticed. Same thing at the top of page 55. First measure, I can get away with just pedaling the first. That because everybody's listening to the right hand. Then it's an effect. You experiment with the pedal to see how it can help the sound, but don't just automatically legato pedal everything. Now I tend to get a bit excited sometimes, and when I get excited I speed things up and then it's all totally different. Sounds great to me in my head, but it doesn't come out very well. That happens to other people too. I know, I've heard it. Keep in mind this is lento. Lento is slow. Lento is slower than adagio. The adagio is slow. It's not as slow, I don't think, as largo. Largo is really slow. And then you have slower than that, grave, which is really, really slow. That's dragging it. But lento is slow. Just 1 and 2. You got to keep that in mind. Use a metronome if you need to. Keep it slow. It's just when you get down to the third line and I tend to speed that up a little bit, and I think other people do too, because it's a little bit of a contrast than what you had before. What this arrangement doesn't do is it doesn't go back to the original theme. So you can, it stays with this other theme throughout the rest of it. So you're going a little faster than lento here. This is more like an adagio. Tend to slow down. It's called rubato. So you experiment, you get to know it well enough so you can start feeling this message, this musical message. It's the emotion of it, and you'll feel these get excited or lay off this part, or get excited on this part. Second line, first measure on page 55 here. These are like ornaments that Chopin has written out. Lead into the here. So take the last measure of the first line here, and the second measure of the second line is here. That's really where it is. That's the but Chopin has stuck an ornament in between them. All of that is just to connect this and this. Just get to know it really, really well, and then you can start feeling it. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the music happens.